Dave here, how are you? And welcome to episode 3 of the Studio Pencil Box construction. Now last week I made comment about the outside and how to build the outside box, but I neglected to say, and when I reviewed it I spotted, I thought, oh, I didn't tell everyone, the inside of the box. Before you put these shelves in, you must finish all the inside of the box too, as well as the shelves. The reason being, that is going to seal the inside. So 2 coats, 1 coat to start, light sand with 320, second coat, let it dry, same for the shelves, slide them in, then you nail it off. Sorry about that. Okay, so moving along, this is another one. I got these things coming out of my ears. We're going to now actually build the drawers that are going to go in here. This is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. I did say that I was going to talk about the individual holders for each pencil this week, but I looked at it and I thought a little bit much for one episode, so we'll do those next week. This week we'll just concentrate on the drawers. Now I'm making the drawers out of 2 different types of timber because I thought I'd give one a go and another go. So one lot of drawers I made out of Tassie oak, and this was 3/4 inch thick stock by 6 inches wide. So I took it over to the bandsaw and I ripped it down the middle, which gave me around about 7 to 8 millimeters by the time I'd finished cutting it and then dressing it. Now the timber that I bought was already dressed on the outside, so that's 2 sides taken care of. So after I'd ripped it down the middle with the bandsaw, and doesn't that saw do a great job? I'm so happy with that saw. So once I'd finished ripping it down the middle with the bandsaw, then I slid it through the thicknesser, and that just gave me a beautiful edge, and away we go. So now I have twice the amount of timber that I started off with, and the boxes for the drawers are going to be a nice comfortable size, a balanced weight and a balanced thickness for the size of the article that it is. So I did one lot out of Tassie oak and the other lot I did out of camphor laurel. Now the thing with both of them was that I made the drawers as one unit. So you'll see here, did it the same way as I did with this. I did the box joints, but in this particular case I did 1/4 inch box joints. I don't want 1/2 inch box joints on this. It looks a little bit strange. I try and stick with the same thickness of the timber, will be the size of my fingers in my box joints. So I've got all the box joints done, clamped up and glued, dried, over to the belt and disc sander. Okay, so when I'm on the belt sander, I'm using one of these. This is a push block. Sit it in there when it's on the sander and hold it down. Here's another little interesting thing. You'll notice that the grain on this it's all out of one piece of timber. So as you turn the box, you'll see that the timber all marries up. It's just one piece of wood. I love it. It's so easy to do. So give it a shot. If you slow down, have a think about what you're doing and see if you can do this. It makes it, no one else will see it, just you. But that's all that's important really. Now the next thing we're going to do is take the box over this multiple set of boxes. Remember, I'm going to get 3 of the drawers out of this one unit. So we're going to take it over to the table saw and we're going to measure the width. Now we can use our thinking caps a little bit here, and just for a little bit of look, we can go 28 millimeters from the bottom with this box joint for the width of the cut, and that should make it so that the offcut, which is going to be my next drawer, will have a full box joint at the bottom as well, and that will be replicated all the way up through the box. Fingers crossed. Anyway, it worked for me. That's just another little, attention to detail. All right, now when we're doing the cuts, we set the blade so it's around about 1 millimeter shy of going all the way through the thickness of the timber. Now why do we do that? I don't want to have a cut all the way through and a cut all the way through and a cut all the way through and then start doing the last cut and have all of this squishing around and moving all over the place, possibly giving me an incorrect cut at the bottom there. So I leave 1 millimeter and cut all the way around, and then I get my marking knife. Now you can use a Stanley knife or a marking knife. I use the marking knife, the Feel marking knife, because it's super sharp and very easy to control. So I just slowly go across. I don't cut through in one big pass. Few passes and you'll find you cut through the timber, and I try to go hard up against the piece that I've wanted to keep my offcut, which is going to be my next drawer, I steer away from that. I just cut close to the side. And then I can pare. I just pare it off slightly. Once I've separated the box, I can then slowly pare off any residual. You can use a plane there if you want to, but the reason I use the knife is because I feel as though I have a lot more control. You could use a chisel for this as well. Your call. Okay, so now I've got these all separated. Oh, right, now I've got it separated. Then I pare off the other side from my waste, which is the next drawer, and it's ready to put over the table saw, and I do the same thing. I replicate that. For a 3-drawer studio pencil box, I can get it all out of this. For a 5-piece, I do a couple of these, and you know, you probably end up making a few of these things. I started off with 1, I'm now making 7. Now there's all sorts of things you can use for the drawer bottom in this situation, and I ended up going with a nice lightweight because they're a very small drawer, so I'm using 4mm thick hardwood ply. Now it's just, I zapped off to the local plywood store. You can get it from a big box store, I guess, if you wanted to, but the plywood store had the stuff that I was after. In Sydney or in Australia, it's, you know, check the links in the, in the box. Again, they're not paying me to do this. I do this because I just want to share the information. Now, to create the rebate for the plywood to go into for the drawer base, I use this set. You can see there's multiple bearings in here, and they go on top of the cutter, and you can see the cutter in the actual router table here, and I'm setting the depth. That's the second biggest bearing that's supplied with this, and I'm doing a 3mm lip in and 4mm deep, and I struggled to find anything else that was going to do it as well for me. Now here's a little safety warning. These things are dangerous. The weight of these things are minimal. There's not a lot to them. When I'm actually doing this rebate in the bottom of the drawer, I turn my router up as fast as it'll go. Now I sit it over the top and I slowly pull it onto the blade. Now make sure you are holding onto this because it is so light, it can pull it out. There's no mass here that is going to slow the router grabbing it and pulling it out of your hand. And be careful, it can pull it out of your hand, pull your hand straight into that cutter at the same time. I don't want to panic anyone, it's just that be very, very careful at this part. So put it on, keep your fingers right away, pull it onto the thing, and as I say, go around clockwise around the back of the cutter. Of course the cutter's on the inside of the box at the moment, and here's another thing, if it does grab, it's going to grab it and throw it across and bounce it all over the place, and dangerous. Be careful. Next thing to do is to measure the size of the base. So we're going to cut the plywood here. Now what I'm going to do is I will rip the ply sheet down to the width of the drawer, and I'm going to dock it off to the depth of the drawer. So here's a little drawer I'm in the process of making. So I haven't finished this one yet, just fitted it. So I will measure the distance on the inside of the rebate to the inside of the rebate on the other side. And I will cut this width first on the table saw. I'll cut that straight down, and I will set the blade to around about 6mm higher, which is 1/4 of an inch higher than the thickness of the timber. Okay, so it's 10mm for everyone in the world, 3/8 of an inch for you guys in the United States. Now if I come up too high, I'm going to get a massive tear out on the bottom. I need it up high enough so that I'm still going to get a good purchase on the cut. That reduces the tear out on the base big time. Okay, now once I've got it cut to width, then I need to cut the length this way, and I did that on the Capex. It's a whole lot easier than trying to do it across the table saw. If you have a table saw sled, by all means drop this in the sled and dock it off to the length, and the length will be the inside of the rebate to the inside of the rebate there as well. Okay, now with my rebater, you'll notice that I've got these rounds on the end, and I could get in there with a chisel and clean it out, but I thought, you know, I don't really need to. It's going to be so much easier for me to put a round there and there and there and there with my disc sander. If you've got a disc sander, do it this way. It's a whole lot easier. So I just found something that's going to be the right diameter. I found something that was the same diameter as that there's the cutter left there. You just find something lying around the house that's going to do it. A coin will probably do it as well, a large coin. But anyway, that's the easiest way to do it. Zap it around, zap it around, zap it around on the disc sander, and then you'll find that yeah, I just keep on taking it back and just dropping it in until it fits nicely. Then you fit it in, make sure it fits, and next thing we have to do is glue it. All right, gluing it in. Before I glue the bases in, I cut a piece of flat board, and in my situation, I use melamine, of course I do. I cut the board to be smaller than this, but only ever so small. So it will come in about 1/2 inch from either end and 1/2 inch from either side, and I put that on after I put the glue on, after I put the glue around that rebate. Drop that in. After you've test fitted the base, the drawer bottom in the drawer, put a pencil mark on one outside edge and across the bottom of the drawer. And so when you take that base out to put the glue in, you'll know how it's going to go back again, because you're going to turn that box around a few times and you go, which way did it go? I forget. And if when you were fitting it, you might find that it's going to throw it out of kilter a little bit. So you need to keep it exactly the way that you fitted it. That pencil mark is crucial. All right, now we're gluing it together, and we've got that, we've made this board that we're going to drop down on top after we've put the base in the drawer, and we're going to go back to the weights. After you put the weight on, make sure that the drawer hasn't spread out at all around the outside. Your plywood base is going to be extremely accurate. All right, so next week what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make all of those inserts that go in, and how to route them out so that they're the cradle for all of the individual pencils, and I'll tell you the settings and everything for that. We will pop those in, then we'll give it a bit of a sand. I'll show you how I go through the process of sanding all those cradles out as well, and we will coat it, and then I'll show you the last little trick on, we've got to do the handles as well. So I'll show you how to do the handles next week as well. Well, we're going to dose up big time next week. Cradles, handles, finish, and how to fit them in the drawer, and buffers at the back. That's going to be a big one. And then look, we'll do the handover to Mum as well. So we'll wind it up next week. Thanks for watching. Keep on coming back. See you later.